Now, the rest of the story.
Well, we're bailing in the rain. I don't really think it's recommended, but I just checked the weather forecast and they're saying 10% chance of rain. Well, at least the tractor's not completely soaked, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes here, and I got about 5 acres in another field. We're already baling this stuff to wrap it, so we're gonna bail. Largely just because the current weather forecast is really unfavorable for making hay. Today is Tuesday. They're calling for a chance of rain tomorrow morning at about 3 in the morning. Maybe that's when they're just figuring it's going to start, because when I just checked it just now, they're calling for thunderstorms tomorrow, which is what we were expecting. So this stuff's been cut since yesterday at noon. It's been on the ground for about 27 hours. Brian raked it 2 hours ago. It's green. It was rained on last night to a certain degree. I think we got like 1/10 of an inch last night that we weren't expecting. But I'm noticing that the weatherman's starting to get it a little bit more accurate as far as when he's guessing what the weather's going to do, because anymore when they're saying we have a chance of rain, we've been getting it. So the only thing is, depends on how much rain we get tomorrow or in the next 24 hours. I'm hoping for a soaker. I'm hoping that the ground is at least gets enough where it's borderline muddy once it's all said and done. I'm not hoping for severe weather by any means, but I put it down 2,000 gallons of liquid nitrogen down on the valley, and that 1/10 of an inch we got last night, I don't believe is enough to really get it to move down into the soil where I need it. Granted, that's why I do in-season liquid nitrogen with the streamers, because I feel like I get a quicker return on my nitrogen purchase versus putting dry fertilizer down and literally hoping for rain to get that urea to dissolve and get down in the soil. And granted, I wait longer than like for cutting alfalfa. Alfalfa, they figure for quality, it's 28 days between cuttings. For me, like down at the valley making my hay, where I'm pushing for production, I'm pushing for yield. If I can cut it June 1st, theoretically, the first week of June, for first cutting, usually it's like, or the second week, we'll wait 45 days, give or take. So that usually comes out to like August 1st, or the last week of July. Because I gotta work between the weather systems for when they're calling for rain. But then that usually means I'm streaming on nitrogen, I'm applying a foliar, which is like my radiate and probably a herbicide. I'm not planning on spraying for weeds across 100% of the bottom, or the valley, just at the bottom, because it's got some areas down there where the weeds are really coming in stronger than I feel they should. Where I ripped the bottom last fall after third cut, Bales gonna chase me? I gave up. All those lines where I ripped Pretty much took out the grass that was there, and now I'm getting a line of broadleaves coming in. So I'm going to spray for them and try to take them out. Well, I will take them out if I put in the weed killer. The big question is if I need an insecticide down there. I'd rather not have to spray insecticide. I don't like handling the stuff. But if it's not armyworms, I'd say the next bug that I'm worried about, late season armyworms, I guess, would be a fair statement. But I'm actually worried about grasshoppers because I've had the early season armyworms. They've pretty well moved out. I didn't see any down there when I was streaming on nitrogen. Now it's grasshoppers with the potential of late season armyworms. I mean, late season armyworms, I guess, aren't common for this area. So I don't know, hopefully that was just a one and done thing, because I really don't want to have to go through that again, which I'm very aware I probably will. So with seeing whatever the weather does, it's going to allow us to do 3 cuttings down there. That's great. I'm going to try for it. But then generally after my second cut, the end of July, whenever in August, wherever it ends up being, I usually let it go as long as I can into September, usually the last week of September, and then make whatever I can get. I mean, generally, the third cutting, it's got like foxtail and a lot more of those thinner grasses in them. Don't really do all that great on a normal year trying to sell them. And that is actually the crop I look to feed my cattle, but I can't count on it. So the problem is, there goes Ryan, the problem is, how do I market my first and second crop, especially when there's a demand for it right now, because people are low on feed, pastures are burnt up, so guys, they got to do something, are buying feed and feeding their cattle, and supplementing their cattle on pasture in the summer. So I'd rather move a bunch of first and second crop. But with first cut down at the valley being so light, it's really hard to get excited about moving much. But seeing how well second cut is coming back, it makes me a little bit more willing to move a bunch of first crop. And then essentially, just the way things are going, I'll make what I can on third cut. Even if it only boils down to if the bench and the neighbor's place look kind of sketchy as to whether or not they're really going to produce much, I'll at least put on the extras, the nitrogen and the foliar on the bottom. I'll at least get my money out of the bottom. But where we're at right here, I just finished this field, gonna finish up the next field. Ryan's back in the field, so I'm gonna have to go see what's going on with him. Oh, I don't think he made the driveway. No, he did not. We gotta make all this wet because with the rain chances, it's starting to rain again. We need a bunch of the rest of our hay made dry. And, well, he grazed the fence post, but he's good. He's definitely loaded heavy. He's actually got his truck squatting. As far as second cut goes, for everything else, the rain chances that are calling for this week, it's really hard to get excited about trying to get anything cut because we don't want it to get rained on. Much like the rest of the stuff did, but with wanting to get it made dry where it isn't going to be just a bunch of crud, We actually need sunlight and dry weather. We'll see what the weather allows.